Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a great day. Today's message is brought to you by Pastor Jeff Rocky.
So we're shifting gears this week a little bit. It's a nice ship, isn't it? I was going to say boat, but that's not a boat. That's a ship. So last fall, Rhonda and I took a vacation. We went out to the Northeast, up into the Maine area in Massachusetts and that stuff. We'd never been out there together. I've been to Boston one time, but it was for a conference, so I didn't get to see much. But so we went out there, and while we were there, we met her brother and sister-in-law who live in that neck of the woods, and they met us one day for an afternoon in Boston. And one of the things that we did when we went there was. He's a big history buff. I mean, and so we learned about all kinds of things, whether we wanted to know them or not. But it was great. And so one of the things that he and I did, we went on to the USS Constitution. The Constitution, if you don't know, is a warship that was launched in 1797 and is still commissioned by the U.S. Navy. It's amazing. That's why I bring this up, because as a ship, I mean, it was just really impressive, and to walk in and to see how they used to do things, but yet at the same time they try to maintain that. They've taken great care of that ship. It's still seaworthy. It's still commissioned by the U.S. Navy. It's still it's still operational if they need it to be. But it's all there, and yet, with rare exception, it never goes anywhere. It's where it sits is where it sits almost all of the time. It rarely leaves that harbor area where it is, and occasionally it'll go out for like these just like for these anniversaries or for particular things, but it rarely even gets loosed off of its mooring lines. It just sits there. So as far as ships go, it's useless. Really. I mean, it's beautiful, don't get me wrong, and it's amazing, but it's not very much of a ship. So over the next several weeks, we're going to look at some spiritual ships that we all have, but a lot of times we don't release them, right? Too many times we think that these ships that we're going to look at are intended to stay in dock, right? That they're intended maybe just for us. Maybe we think that they're just meant to look good and be maintained, but they aren't meant to be out on the seas in the open waters, right? Out into the public. But those things aren't true. We were giving all these ships that we're going to look at for a purpose. They were intended to be vessels that take us places. I'm still on, folks, if you haven't figured out, I'm still on this move business and extra business and all this because we just, and action, right? Because these ships that we're going to look at, they were ships of action. They were ships that help reveal what our actions ought to be. They're ships that are intended to help reveal what God's will and his purpose and and the motion that he wants us to have. They're intended to do those things. They're ships that are intended to inform and influence our interaction with Jesus, our interaction with one another, and our interaction with those who do not yet believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. There's a reason why we're going to look at these things. So we're going to get started. You can turn to Psalm 97 if you want to. And as we walk through this, through 97, the place where we're going to start, the ship that we're going to start with, and you'll catch the play on words here in just a minute. But the ship we're going to start with is worship. Okay? So we're going to start with worship today. I just need you to listen to Psalm 97. And Mike, I appreciated the psalm that you read earlier because it's like, man, we are in a day of psalms. It's just where it's going to be. So Psalm 97 says this. Notice the exclamation part right off the bat. The Lord reigns, or the Lord is king. Let the earth rejoice. Let the many coasts and islands be glad. Clouds and total darkness surround him. My version is probably different than what you're going to read up there. Okay, that's all right. I'm reading CSB. I'm going back to verse 2. Clouds and total darkness surround him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. Fire goes before him and burns up his foes on every side. His lightning lights up the world. The earth sees and trembles. The mountains melt like wax at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. The heavens proclaim his righteousness. All the peoples see his glory. All who serve carved images, those who boast in idols will be put to shame. All the gods must worship him. Zion hears and is glad. Judah's villages rejoice because of your judgment, Lord. For you, Lord, are the most high over the whole earth. You are exalted above all gods. You who love the Lord hate evil. He protects the lives of his faithful ones. He rescues them from the power of the wicked. Light dawns for the righteous, gladness for the upright in heart. Be glad in the Lord, you righteous ones, and give thanks to his holy name. May God bless the reading of his word today. Again, as I read through that psalm, there's this image of worship that is taking place. There's this picture here of how the people are to come and why the people are to come and what attitude they're supposed to have. And I love the fact that we just need to notice that the psalmist talks about worship and the God who receives our worship. And as I read through this, we need to understand we worship a God who is active. Right? It says that he reigns. I mean, that's what mine says. It's the very, very first one. The Lord reigns. He reigns. Listen, reigning, that's an active word. Right? It's happening right now, and it's one where he is involved in the midst of it. Right? It doesn't just say he sits. It doesn't just say he observes. It doesn't say those things. It says he reigns. He is active in it right now. And so we can worship him because he is the Lord. He is the King. He is the ruler over all things, now and forevermore. And he's active within that. He's not just up there going, well, this isn't quite turning out the way I planned or thought. He's not just up there doing that. He's involved. He's in the midst of it. He's active in here. And then it says, not only does he reign, but if you go on down through this, if you go down to verse 10, from my perspective, it says, not only is he doing those things, but he's active in the fact that he protects, and he's active in the fact that he rescues. He's watching over us right now. He's watching over you. And I heard all of our requests. And I know, folks, that there are times that we want to say, the scripture even says it sometimes, where is our God? Or people will come to us and look at the situation around the world. Those who don't yet believe, they'll look at the situation around the world and they'll say, listen, where is your God? Where is he in the midst of this? Scripture points out that God is worthy of our worship because he is active in the midst of everything that we do. He watches over us. He protects us. He reigns over us. He rescues us. I was thinking about this the other day. It's like reading through and one of the passages out of Isaiah that we read earlier, right? It's like you bring your wooden idols and you do these different things and you have these things that you bow before, right? But they're only things. Guess what? Those things that you call your gods, those things that you call those idols that you place yourself in front of, those things cannot save you. They can't. Only the true living God through his son Jesus Christ can save you. And so even the psalmist here was going, Lord, you are the only one who protects. You're the only one who rescues. You're the only one who saves. And so if I'm going to worship something, if I'm going to worship someone, then I want it to be something that's real and something that makes a difference and something that impacts who I am and something that's active in my life, someone who actually cares about me and loves me. And so that's who I want to worship. It's who I want to worship. God is active. Psalmist says he's the only one that moves around us. So we worship God who is active. But we also worship a God who is worthy. Because aside from what he does for us, it's not about him doing anything to earn our worship. He is simply worthy of worship. He's worthy of it. Psalm 97, again, it tells us that he embodies righteousness and justice. It says the heavens declare who he is. I mean, all the time, the heavens are declaring, the nature itself is declaring that there is a creator and there is one who is active. And it's not just he created it and then let it go. No, he is there now, continuing to be involved in his creation, continuing to be involved not only in the nature around us, but in us. And he says, listen, just worship me because I'm worthy of it. And there's so many times I think that our worship can sometimes be dry and it can be dead and it can be stale because, well, Lord, if you show me who you are, if you just move a little bit more, maybe I'd feel better about this. But God says, man, if you'll worship, you'll see me in a different way. You'll know that I'm not just standing here being stagnant and doing nothing. I'm involved in this. I'm in the middle of it. I'm right here. I'm worthy of that worship. I know it doesn't quite say this, but it does kind of say this as well. In the Psalm 97 basically says that any God created in the heart of men or the mind of men has to bow to the true God. It has to bow to the true God. I love that. I remember I was sitting in, there's certain things that stay with me. I don't know why. I had to take a class when I was in college, philosophy and Christian thought. It was the worst class ever. Oh my word. It was in for our small school. I mean, it was one of those where everybody had to take it, and it was in a large lecture hall and the professor, bless his heart. That's always a bad thing when you start the conversation about him that way, right? Bless his heart. I swear, I really do. I know people joke about me knowing Moses right now. That's what the youth group likes to do, is joke about me knowing Moses. But I swear he really did know Moses. And so he would, but there are just a few things that stick into my head. And one of them was that either he had us read this book that indicated this, or he said it. I don't remember which way it went. It doesn't really matter. But the idea is that if you can create something that you think that you place above God, then your God's not big enough. And that's what this psalm here is kind of saying. It's like, listen, if you can create something, right, that you think is better than God, then you need to rethink that, because every God that you can create is going to have to bow down to me at some point in time. Because Scripture says he is the most high over the whole earth. He is exalted over every other being. For those two reasons alone. Because God is active and because he is worthy, God deserves our worship. He deserves us singing praise with all of our might. He deserves us bowing before him and laying everything at his feet. He deserves us coming to the altar and saying, Lord, these things that I have in front of me right now, they are too much and I can't do it. And I know that if I will come and worship you and lay these things at your feet, that you will take care of them, because you are an active God and you are worthy of worship. And I know that you love me. So he's worthy of our worship. But it's more than that. God deserves worship that is compelling. And I was thinking about that. And compelling is basically just moves us toward him, right? That's what compelling means. It compels us to move towards him. Worship that brings us closer to him. And again, that we make that motion. And it's not only compelling, though, but it's also propelling. That it moves us to action. Our worship ought to move us to action. I just want to talk about those things briefly. Worship should move us spiritually, right? Compelling. So Psalm 63, again, probably going to be a different version. I need to flip that back there. But anyway, Psalm 63. I'm just going to read verses 1 through 4. Again, worship should be compelling. It ought to move us toward him. And this is what it says. God, you are my God. Can you say that? I mean, I'm really asking the question, right? Like, I mean, we can read it. Oh, God, you are my God. But can you say it? God, you are my God. I eagerly seek you. I thirst for you. My body faints for you in a land that is dry and desolate and without water. So I gaze on you in the sanctuary to see your strength and your glory. My lips will glorify you because your faithful love is better than life. So I will bless you as long as I live. At your name, I will lift up my hands. Just want us to see how compelling worship ought to be, right? The fact that worship should draw us in. Man, when we worship, and this is something that I notice sometimes, and sometimes I feel in the depths of my heart sometimes, and other times, just to be honest, there's times when it's like I just feel like I'm going through the motion. I understand that, right? It's a normal thing for us to kind of waver back and forth at times, but worship is supposed to be compelling. So as I look at this picture that's drawn by these words, I have to ask, it says that I eagerly seek you. I long for you. Do you? Do you long for him? It says, I thirst for you. I faint for you. And that's drawing us in. This worship ought to be putting us in those positions. I look for you because I want to see your strength and your glory. I'm going to glorify you and I'm going to bless you. I'm going to lift my hands and surrender to you. Worship should compel you to search for God in the same way that a person dying of thirst searches for water. Like this thing that just says, I don't know that I can take another step. I don't know that I can do anything else. I don't know that I can even breathe without having this here right now. I'm just going to wither up and die if I don't have it. Oddly enough, worship ought to bring it to that point where we're going, I thirst for you. I long to meet you. I long to see you. I long to have you right here. That's the kind of worship that God deserves. Like everything else fades. I mean, when you're really thirsty, everything else disappears, right? Nothing else matters at that point in time. Right? Man, I am so dry. I'm so parched. I don't think I can do another thing. I start to get weak. It's like just, and somebody tries to talk to me. It's like, man, don't even talk to me right now because I don't have the energy to even listen to you. Right now, all I want is I just want water. And I think our worship ought to be that way sometimes where it's like, you know what? I don't care what else is going on around me. All I want the Spirit of God to fall upon me in such a way that He's all that I see and all that I feel and all that I know. I thirst for you, my God. It's funny, right? I mean, like there's moments when I see that on people's faces, or at least I get that impression. Right? Again, that's one of the reasons why I had to stop looking at Mark for a little while, because it's like he was, sorry, Mark, it's just like he's sitting there with his hand. I know there were several, but for some reason, Mark just had this, it was just, Mark overdid it for me, right? Sometimes when a couple of weeks ago, right, Brian and Camry were here, and they were leading us as worship, and I'm getting choked up now. I couldn't watch my daughter. when the people that I love, when I see them in that place, where I see them at the point where it's like, God is all that I want. I'm so thirsty for him. And I know he's going to meet me and let me drink. And that breaks me up in the best way possible. But worship, and that's great. I mean, I love those moments, right? But worship is supposed to be more than just compelling. I mean, it does. It needs to draw us in, but it needs to be more. There's something else. So that if it's just compelling, you're the USS Constitution. You're there, right? And you're feeling the presence of God, but you're not going anywhere, right? I mean, and it's good, but there's more. Because God is also deserving of worship that moves us to action. Doesn't want to just compel us, he wants to propel us. Romans. You don't have to turn there if you don't want to. I'm just looking at two verses. Romans 12, 1 and 2. It says, therefore, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercies, I urge you to present your bodies as living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. And this is your true worship. Do not be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you may discern what is the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. He tells us, right? Present your bodies as living sacrifices. That's an act of worship. That's what he says, right? This is your act of worship. Be transformed. And in that act of worship, and by being transformed, it says that you will know the will of God. What's implied in that, at least I think what's implied in that, is that you will do the will of God, since knowing it and not doing it are sin, by the way. Just so you know. If you know the will of God and don't do it, it's like telling God he doesn't matter. So when you meet with God in worship, how? In real worship. And this is what sometimes I just don't get. How can you walk away as the same person that you were before? Man, if you really, and I'm not talking about necessarily what goes on right here. I mean, I think that's a part of it. But if you really are worshiping the one true God, I don't understand how anybody can walk away from that and be the same that they were before. Because worship should humble us. According to this, worship should humble us. Worship should cost us. Worship should open our eyes to what we should be and to what we should do. Again, as I speak about worship today, I'm not talking about a style. I'm not talking about a practice. I'm not speaking specifically, I don't think, about Sunday morning and corporate worship. What we're talking about is worship that takes place all the time, which it's worship. I mean, this is a part of it. Don't misunderstand me. I mean, this helps us. This helps me, and I see it. But it's also about the worship that takes place in your home. It's about the worship that takes place in your car. It's about the worship that takes place here at church. It's about worship that takes place when you're alone. It's about worship that takes place with your family. It's about having a heart and an attitude of worship. It's the big picture of what worship is. And it's a worship that compels you to draw closer to God, and a worship that propels you into the world to make his goodness known. Again, worship is a ship that's meant for a voyage. It's built to take us someplace. It's intended to take you from one place to another. Now listen, I think it's all right to find a place to dock for a little while. Right? Every once in a while you need to do a little bit of maintenance, and that's okay. But don't get comfortable in the docks. Don't get comfortable in that place because it's not where you were meant to stay. Listen for the Spirit of God to speak. When you're in the middle of worship, and I don't care what situation it's in, when you're in the middle of that worship, you need to listen for what God has to say. Because he's compelling and he's propelling at the same time. And when you enter into those moments of worship, you need to expect the Spirit to move you spiritually, to touch your heart, to touch your soul. That's the thing I love about the psalmist. It's like that. That's what he expects. That's what, I mean, it's like he doesn't write these things going, Lord, if you can, or whatever. It's like, no, this is what I expect because of the worship. Expect it. Let the Spirit, in the midst of all those, draw you a picture of who you are and what you're supposed to do. Because he will. So I'm just going to use Friday night as an example. I had a great time Friday night. I'm sorry for those who missed it, but it was interesting because we were kind of planning through it all, and it's like, well, this is what's going to happen, and this is what we need to find, and those kind of things. And several things fell through, and maybe, I don't know if it was, I don't think it was, sorry, I'll finish the sentence here in just a minute. Sometimes my head gets ahead of where I'm going. So the prayer time fell to me. And I was thinking all that through, and I didn't have a plan. I had no real plan when we came to the prayer time. I know that comes as a shock to most of you. But as the night progressed, and as we sang through these songs, and I just kept running those lyrics through my head, even as we were singing them, and God just kept impressing things upon me. God revealed as that night progressed that And the Spirit spoke through the songs, and he began to show me what that prayer time should look like. And I think part of that happened because I just let it wash over me. Right? I didn't try to plan this the whole time that we were going through. Oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? No, it wasn't about that. It was just kind of going, okay, God, I'm here and you're compelling me to search for you. And in that searching for him, he showed. He just showed and propelled me then. He began to say, you know what, you need to, several of our songs just spoke about issues in our lives, about addictions, about poor relationships, about all kinds of things. And God just said, pray against the enemy and pray against the things that he uses to distract us from Jesus. And I'm like, can you be more specific? That's great. Appreciate that. I need a little more. And I looked over and there were our kids. And so I thought, God was just saying, use the kids to stand in the gap. Like, cool. I love that word. That's a great message from God. Use the kids to stand in the gap. Excellent. So I thought I invited some of the kids. I invited all the kids to stand in the gap. And I'm like, oh, I don't know that I have enough things to put in the place for them to stand in the gap, right? And I start to panic. And it's like, I'm not sure what we're going to, well, this person's going to be in the place for these people and this for this, and this for, and we just, and at one point, I'm like, I'm running out of things. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was going to run out of assignments. And then the Holy Spirit just went, no, you're not. Why are you panicking? I've got this all worked out. Let me just show you. And by the time we were done, actually, I had a few more. But it's okay. And we invited people to come and to place hands on those kids that were standing in the gap and to pray with them. And people moved. People acted. That's the way it is often for me in worship. God moves me to a place where all I want is more of him. If I don't get more of him, I think I'm going to die. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's not. I think I'll just die. And I know that for me, one of the best ways to find more of him is to let worship propel me to action. I think that's his purpose. I think that's the result of real worship. This is what worship is intended to do. It's intended to block out anything but Jesus, the one who is worthy, the only one who is worthy, so that all we see and all we hear is him. Romans says this, then we will know what is the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. And in doing his will, we will bring glory to God. And I think then we'll understand a little bit all those different things that Paul talked about being thankful and grateful in every circumstance. And understand that God has purpose for us and a plan for us. Worship compels, draws you into him, and it propels, moves you to the people that need him. This is our act of worship.
We hope that your life was enriched by today's word. If so, leave us a comment and let us know what stuck out to you today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of our new content. Have a blessed day.